Example number 6. Find f prime of -3 if f of x equals x to the 4th divided by 8 minus 2x. So before we find f prime of -3, we need to find f prime. So f prime of x will be 4x to the 3rd over 8 minus 2, which we can reduce down to x to the 3rd over 2 minus 2. Now we can substitute f prime of -3 will be -3 to the 3rd divided by 2 minus 2. And anytime you substitute a negative number, you should put parentheses around it, because if that exponent is even and you put it in your calculator, you will miss it. Okay? So anytime you substitute a negative number, put it in parentheses. -27 over 2 minus 2. You can use the fraction key on your calculator by entering -27 fraction key 2 minus 2. And then you'll have to change it back to a improper fraction, because look, they want an integer or a fraction, not a mixed number. And you do that by pressing second fraction key, enter. But I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. -27 over 2 minus 4 over 2, because 4 divided by 2 is the 2 with a common denominator of 2, is -31 halves. So our final answer is -31 over 2. Example number 7. Find the slope and the equation of the tangent line to the graph of the function at the given value of x. Y equals x to the 4th minus 25x squared plus 144, and we'll use x equals 1. So the first step is to find the derivative, because the derivative gives us instantaneous rate of change and also the slope of the tangent line. So I'll write it dy dx, you could write y prime, same thing, equals power 4 base x to the 4 minus 1, that's a 3, minus power 2 times 25, 50, x to the 2 minus 1, which is 1, and of course the derivative of the constant 144 is 0. Now, we're going to evaluate this at x equals 1. Okay, so that's going to be 4 times 1 to the 3rd minus 50 times 1. So that number is 4 minus 50, which is -46. So the slope of the tangent is -46. It's a pretty steep downhill line. So to write the equation of the tangent, we need a point. That's an x and a y. And we need the slope. And we know our slope already. Our slope is -46. So the point we're going to use is where x is 1. So we need to find the original function y. So I'm going to do y at 1. So I'm evaluating y at 1. 1 to the 4th minus 25 times 1 squared plus 144 gives me 1 minus 25 plus 144, and that's 120. And so this is the point, 1 and 120. And so using this point and this slope in the equation, y equals mx plus b, I can substitute the x and the y and the m. So y is 120, m is negative 46, x they told us to use is 1. Don't know b yet, that's what we're going to find. So 120 equals negative 46 plus b. Add 46 to both sides. 166 is b. So my equation is y equals negative 46x plus 166. And that is our final answer for the equation of the tangent. Negative 46x plus 166. And you'll have to write the y equals also. Number 8. Find the slope of the tangent line to the graph of the given function at the given value of x. So all they want this time is the slope. So all we have to do is take the derivative and plug in x equals 4. So y prime is negative 7 times a half times x to the 1/2 minus 1 plus 3/2 x to the 3/2 minus 1. And now we're going to simplify this to negative 7 over 2 x to the negative 1/2 plus 3 over 2 x to the 1/2. 3 over 2 is 1.5. Take away 1, you get a half. Now the only thing I want to do here is I do want to go back to square root notation, and I want to take this negative exponent right here to the denominator. So I've got negative 7 over 2 square root of x, because remember x to the 1/2 is the square root, the negative puts it in the denominator, plus 3/2 times the square root of x. And our number here is 4, so we're going to plug that in. Negative 7 over 2 times the square root of 4 plus 3 over 2 times the square root of 4. And that's the square root of 4 over 1. It's in the numerator. So that's negative 7 over 2 times 2, because the square root of 4 is 2. So that's a 4. Plus 3 times 2 over 2. So it's negative 7 fourths plus 6/2. Now again, you can use your calculator for that, or I can get a common denominator of 4. So I'll have negative 7 fourths plus 12 over 4. Because 6 over 2, you multiply the top and bottom by 2 to get 12 over 4. And so I can easily add this now, and I get 5/4. And we want to leave it as a fraction, 5 over 4. Our final answer is 5 over 4. Example number 9. Find all points, that means an x and a y, on the graph of f of x equals 12x squared minus 31x plus 20, where the slope of the tangent line is 0. So the slope of the tangent is the derivative. So we have to take our derivative, and then we have to set it equal to 0. So our first step is to do f prime of x. And that's going to give us 24x, because it's power times coefficient or constant, that's 24, and then 2 minus 1 is x to the 1, and then minus 31. So we set this equal to 0, 24x minus 31 equal to 0. We add 31, 24x is 31 divided by 24, so x is 31 over 24. Now this x is for the original function, so we have to find the y in the original function. So we have to do f, not f prime, of 31 over 24. And this is going to get a little tedious because of these fractions. 12 times 31 over 24 squared minus 31 times 31 over 24 plus 20. So I'm going to utilize my fraction key on my calculator, and I'm just going to type this entire expression in like that, using the fraction key for the fractions. So here's what I type. Type in a 12, then I put a parentheses, a left parentheses, 31, fraction key 24, close parentheses, caret key or exponent key 2, minus 31, parentheses, 31 over 24, close parentheses, plus 20. And I used the fraction key when I did the 31 over 24. And that comes out to negative 1 over 48. So the actual point is 31 over 24, comma, negative 1 over 48. And that's the point at which the slope of the tangent is 0. Final answer, 31 over 24, negative 1 over 48. So I'm going to take the derivative first. F prime of x equals 6x to the second, that is the power times the coefficient, and the exponent reduced by 1. Same thing here, 84x, and then same thing here, 288. Of course, the derivative of 6 is 0. So now, because they said horizontal, they want us to set it equal to 0. 6x squared plus 84x plus 288 equals 0. Now, when you have an x squared equation, you can either factor it or you can use the quadratic formula. But before you try either one of these, you should see if there's a common factor in each of the terms. And in this case, it is 6. So we're going to take out a 6. That's going to give me an x squared. Then 84 divided by 6 is 14. So it's plus 14x plus 288 divided by 6 is 48. And that's equal to 0 because the slope has to be 0. Now we can divide both sides by 6. And basically we're just getting rid of that 6. So it doesn't affect our answer. Now this would be a lot easier to factor or do in the quadratic formula. And I can tell you that most of the ones will be easy to factor, and they take a lot less time than the quadratic formula. And it's a lot harder to simplify the quadratic formula than it is to factor. So remember what I need here. I need the factors of 48 that will add up to 14. So that's 6 times 8. So it's going to be x plus 6 and x plus 8 equals 0. X plus 6 equals 0 if x is negative 6, because you have to subtract a 6 from both sides. And x plus 8 equals 0 if x is negative 8. So there are two places where this tangent line is going to be horizontal. And those two places are x equals -6 and x equals -8. Now they want you to put a comma between these, -6 and -8. So our final answer, x equals -6, -8.